Sports Talk Chicago. Jon Zaghloul, John Meadows directing and producing. Back at it for the final segment of today's program. If you missed any part of today's show, do me a favor. You could go to sportstalkchicago.com. You could podcast it, any of your favorite podcasting platforms as well, or watch it all on YouTube on demand anytime you'd like. Go to Sports Talk Chicago on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the like button. And if you want, hit that notification bell so you're notified of future videos. We go live, we have discussions, we have pre-recorded videos that go out. Everything goes out on there, so make sure you want to watch us and see it. You can follow us there. Follow us all over at Sports Talk Chicago. Again, a big shout-out and a warm welcome to all of our great radio and TV affiliates. 101.1 Peoria Sports Radio, 98.3 The Life, WKAN, 105.5 The Ticket, ACTV, Gen TV, WJOB, Cities, 92.9 Talk FM, and WROK, 1440 AM. Up in Rockford. Final segment of today's program. We had heavy Bears talk in segments 1 and 2. Some fun stuff about Justin Fields, Kevin Warren, Caleb Williams, the Bears being a Cinderella team. Yeah, some good stuff. So if you missed it, go and podcast it. But we want to end today with baseball because opening day is actually here. Kind of crept up on me. I don't know about you. Really crept up on me. But Cubs and the White Sox are going to be going at it this season. They start up this weekend. I want to go through their rosters as they stand right now. I want to give a preview and a record prediction for each of these teams and how I think their seasons are going to go. Now, I will say this. There's going to be a big delineation. One team's supposed to be good. The other one's going to suck. Okay? I'm going to tell you that right now. That's nothing personal. That's just how I see it at the moment. Of course, the good team I'm talking about are the Chicago Cubs. Talk about doing the right things this offseason without overspending. Credit to Jed Hoyer. And one more thing about Jed Hoyer. Here, I'm going to start with this, actually. Who out there, and I want you to raise your hand if you're in your car, if you're watching us here on YouTube, raise your hand if you call Jed Hoyer a moron for breaking up the Cubs core. I'm not raising my hand, but do you want to raise your hand? Yeah, because now look where they are today. And it's okay if you did. I forgive you. I'm sure he does too. Look at where this team is today versus where they were in 2021. Now, if you recall 2020, the COVID year, the Cubs, quote-unquote, won the division by going 6 games over 500. And they got their asses kicked by the Marlins, of all teams, and the expanded COVID playoffs. That was a disaster. Theo Epstein left the Cubs high and dry, and everybody loves Theo Epstein. And then Jed Hoyer had to make the tough decisions himself and went under a lot of scrutiny for getting rid of Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo and Javier Baez. By the way, Javier Baez in spring training literally hit under 50, like 0.50 for his batting average. In spring training. And he's getting paid $20+ million per year by Detroit. Just saying. Chris Bryant has yet to play 100+ games in a season for Colorado. He's in year 3 of an 8-year deal. Anthony Rizzo is back, and hopefully he'll do okay. But last year, kind of a tough year, and even the year before in New York. The Cubs' beloved core that everybody knew and everybody loved is over. And that's okay, because now they have a new core, a new look, and a new team that is expected to compete and really is expected to win this division. The Cubs made a big move from a managerial perspective. They signed Craig Counsell to the largest managerial contract in baseball history. They made some moves this offseason. They retained and re-signed Cody Bellinger to a deal. Cody Bellinger is going to be back. They're going to have key pieces all around this infield, which I'm really excited to look at. Christopher Morel is going to be a key piece for this team at third base and even in the outfield as well. Patrick Wisdom, Cody Bellinger are going to be playing and having big opportunities at the plate specifically. Dansby Swanson, of course, at shortstop, Nico Horner, Ian Happ, and Seiya Suzuki, who I think might have a breakout year. Seiya Suzuki quietly has had a nice start to his career in Major League Baseball. Obviously came over from Japan, and he's been quite the player for the Cubs. Good defender, really good on-base guy. His on-base percentage is always ranked, actually, top 10 in the league. It was last year. Seiya Suzuki is a very solid baseball player. And in the rotation, the Cubs are looking solid as ever. They got Justin Steele. Kyle Hendricks is back. Shota Imanga is going to be here. Cubs signed him from Japan. Very curious to see how he does. Jameson Taillon near the back end. And Javier Assad rounds out that rotation. He had a great half season last year down the stretch and really because of him part of it was because of him that the Cubs really competed down the stretch last year, which was great. This Cubs team's going to be hot. In the bullpen, they got Adbert Alzolay closing again, and he turned it on last year. Kind of revived his career because up until then he was just a failed starter and really a swingman who was kind of a bust. Hector Neris was signed to a deal. That's a nice 1-2 punch in the back end of the bullpen. Mark Leiter Jr., Julian Merriweather, they're all going to be in the bullpen as well. At catcher, they got Jan Gomes and Miguel Amaya. They have the old guy and the young guy. The heir apparent, the successor to Wilson Contreras is Miguel Amaya, and Jan Gomes, a reliable backstop who's been in this league for a long, long time. There's no reason why this Cubs team cannot win the division. There's no reason why this Cubs team can't make waves this year. Jed Hoyer said it himself, especially at the end of last season. I mean, there's a reason why David Ross got fired. Cubs fans didn't want him to get fired, but there's a reason why he got fired. Look at what happened to them last year. I heard this on the radio the other day. Entering September 1st, the Cubs had the highest probability of making the playoffs amongst any team in baseball. Not kidding. And look where they ended. Outside of the playoffs. That's crazy when you think about it. So they have a similar roster, if not even a little bit of a better roster, plus the best manager in baseball. There is no reason why they cannot win 90 games and this division. I'm going to predict the Cubs win 93 games this year, 93-69 record. They're going to win this division. And I would even say they should win a playoff series. I'll even go that far. Whether they make the wild card round, the wild card round move to the divisional round, or if they make the divisional round, which I don't know if they will with 93 wins, but if they do, I expect them to make it to the NLCS then. I'm not expecting a World Series. No way. I don't see it, especially after last year. And with this being Council's first year, he's going to need time to get used to this position. There's no doubt about that. But this team will win 93 games. This team will make the playoffs. This team will win the division, and they may even win a series or two in the Major League Baseball playoffs in October. So that's my take on the Cubs. That's the exciting, good part of Chicago baseball. Now let's get to the bad. The White Sox and company. Now, I don't want to crap on them too much because there are a lot of young players who are good people who are actually decently talented, who could put up some decent numbers this year. I want to preface that by saying this, but as far as a team effort, this might be another long year for the White Sox and for the South Side. Now, some positives. Luis Robert Jr. is going to be back in center field. Luis Robert had an MVP caliber year last year. His batting average really went down near the end of the season, but in general, he was a top 10 finisher in the American League MVP, and for good reason. 30-plus homers, 100-plus RBIs. He played really good baseball last year. So Luis Robert Jr. is going to be the big superstar, I think, of this team. I'm expecting a bounce back here from Andrew Benintendi. Last year just had a power outage at the plate. Benintendi usually is a good average hitter, good contact hitter, but he can hit 20 home runs in a hitter-friendly ballpark like Guaranteed Rate Field. I'm expecting a power revival for Andrew Benintendi this year. I'm hoping for 15 homers. And that's on the low end. Andrew Benintendi's hit 25-plus homers in a season before, but I'll say 15. Eloy Jimenez is supposedly in shape. Unfortunately, he just always gets hurt. So if he stays at DH, I expect a good year out of him. I'm hoping 25 home runs. Then throughout the field, the Sox also signed Paul DeJong to a one-year deal. They got Yohan Moncada, who's going to try and prove himself this year. Andrew Vaughn's at first. Martin Maldonado is going to be catching, one of the best defensive catchers in baseball by far. It's not a horrible team. It's just not a wow team. There's no wow factor on this team besides Luis Robert. See, the Cubs, they got a wow factor. They got a couple of wow factors in the rotation, on the field, guys who maybe aren't even household names who certainly perform. The Sox don't really have that right now. They got Luis Robert and a bunch of question marks. So if things go exceptionally well, I could see a situation in which they maybe even finish above 500. But if things go like they've always gone, it's going to be a tough year for them. The starting rotation, Garrett Crochet is going to start game one of the season. He's never started a major league game before. So that's troubling, to say the least. Mike Soroka is here on the White Sox as well, veteran starter. And, their rotation isn't even built out according to their depth chart yet. So they don't even have a number 5 starter yet according to their depth chart. In the bullpen, they moved Michael Kopech to the bullpen, which I thought was a very smart move. I actually think in terms of maybe an X factor from a pitching perspective, it's going to be him because Michael Kopech is an explosive pitcher. He just has been a failed starter. I could certainly see him, though, thriving in either a setup role or even a closing role. He throws hard. He's known for his speed. He's known for his his quickness. I could totally see him being a good closer and kind of taking the path that Adbert Alzolay took for the Cubs. Because Alzolay was supposed to be this great starting pitcher, and the one year that he started full-time, he went 4-10 and had an ERA north of 4, almost at 5. It just didn't work. And that's been a similar situation for Kopech. Last year was just horrendous for him. Had a couple of good starts early and started hot. End of the year so bad that his season stats were just inflated. His ERA was above 4, near 5, too, like Alzolay. I could see Kopech really making a difference in this bullpen for the White Sox, and I could see him being a legit, realistic X factor for them. I could totally see it. So that's someone I'm going to be looking forward to and looking forward to seeing pitch. Other than that, though, just a bunch of question marks in their bullpen, a bunch of question marks that we just don't know what they're going to be doing, what they're going to be capable of. Obviously, no more Tim Anderson. He's in Florida or in Miami. Liam Hendricks signed a deal in Boston, so he's gone as well. So a couple of namesakes for this team are not here anymore. If you're a Sox fan and you're going to buy tickets, I guess you'd only kind of go to the ballpark to maybe see Robert. There aren't many household names on this team anymore. And I know they're still, I guess, rebuilding, kind of. I mean, now they got Chris Getz, so we got to give him proper time to get this team in order. Pedro Griffol's probably on the hot seat. Actually, he is on the hot seat. Something's got to give this year. So we'll see how things play out for them. But I'm not expecting much from this White Sox team in 2024. If I had to put a number on their win total, I'm going to say 72 wins. It's probably generous, but I'm going to go with 72. So 93 wins is my prediction for the Cubs, and a division win, and a playoff series win. That's for the Cubs. The White Sox, I'm saying 72 wins, maybe second to last in the AL Central. And maybe we'll see good things from Michael Kopech in the bullpen, and certainly Luis Robert Jr. I'm expecting him to build off of last year's campaign in which he was a top 10 finisher in the American League MVP vote. Tale of two different teams and two different trajectories here in Chicago for baseball. One is on the up and up, per usual. The Cubs have, relatively speaking, been really good, and the White Sox just cannot seem to get things together. The White Sox cannot get it together. And really, it sucks for their fan base because they have such devoted fans, and I want the White Sox to succeed too, just as much as anybody else. Their fans love them. And all I hear, it's kind of like the Bears. When I talk to White Sox fans, I just hear about 2005 a lot. Just like the Bears fans with 1985. You hear about 1985 all the time. With the White Sox, you hear about 2005 all the time. And I appreciate what they did in 2005. The pitching, the defense, that won them everything that they did. But I'm sure if you're White Sox fans, you want something more than that. You don't want to keep reverting back to 2005. Just like Bears fans always referred back to 1985. We want to see some progress and some change. I want to give Chris Getz a fair opportunity and a fair crack to do it, of course. But, man, they got a lot of work to do. Got a long way to go. So I wish them all the best, but it's not looking good for them here in 2024. Again, Major League Baseball opening days coming up this weekend. 162 games to go. So much to watch, so much to see, so much to discuss throughout the season. We're going to cover all of it here on STC. So rest assured, if you're looking for your baseball fix, we're not just a football show. We're Sports Talk Chicago. So we cover it all, and we're going to definitely keep tabs on the Cubs and White Sox as they play throughout the 2024 season. Hoping for success, at least for the Cubs. Expecting success for the Cubs. For the White Sox, if they win 70-plus games, to me, that's a success for them, considering the roster they have and the expectations that they have. entering 2024. On that note, that'll do it for us today here on Sports Talk Chicago. Appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out here with us for another week, wherever you may be and however you may be listening across all of our great radio and TV affiliates. 101.1 Peoria Sports Radio, 98.3 The Life, WKAN, 105.5 The Ticket, ACTBJ, TBW, JOB, Cities 92.9 Talk FM, and WROK 1440 AM in Rockford. Thank you to John Meadows for directing and producing. Thank you to all of you. Follow me at Sports Talk Chicago. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Hit the like button on our videos. And if you missed any part of this show, if you're just tuning in right now, you just got into your car, you flipped on the radio real quick, don't fret. Go to sportstalkchicago.com. You could podcast or go to any podcast platform. Just search up Sports Talk Chicago. You could podcast the entire show. It's cut up into segments. You could listen to the whole show all at once. Whatever your preference is, it's going to be there for you to consume. Until next week, so long. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you soon.